Hi, everyone. This is Tanner here. Welcome back to another episode of the Man to Man Coverage Podcast, or I guess you could call today the Single High Safety Podcast, as it's just going to be me. Mason has some stuff going on that he is taking care of. He will be back next week, but I did want to get an episode out because there's been some recent trades and moves in the NFL that I wanted to discuss. Also, we have 4 weeks through the NFL season, so I wanted to do my first quarter kind of awards, who I would give the MVP and stuff like that too, and then also discuss some of the more Week 5 matchups in detail. So it's just going to be me hosting today, and without further ado, let's talk about so many big moves that happened. So this week for the NFL is pretty big in moves, which I really didn't see happening. There's a lot of talks in the offseason about stuff that could happen. And usually, the trade deadline is week 8. So I expected this stuff to happen maybe week 6 or 7, but it happens here. And the first one is that Stephon Gilmore is now with the Carolina Panthers. Stephon Gilmore was a corner back for the New England Patriots. He was one of the top tier corners up there with Jalen Ramsey, Tre'Davious White, Drew Alexander. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. And there are some rumors this offseason that Gilmore could be traded or was going to get cut or something of that nature. And he ends up getting basically released, and the Carolina Panthers sign him. And he's now a Panther, Patriots to Panthers. So talking about this idea for the New England Patriots, I think that the idea is good, but the execution is bad. So the Patriots are in a reloading phase. I think you're either in 3 phases when you're an NFL team. You're either contending, reloading, or rebuilding. And I think the Patriots are very much reloading. They have some defensive talent. You have the McCourty twins. Kyle Van Noy's been a nice linebacker. J.C. Jackson's a really underrated corner. He's super athletic. Um, and you have a very nice defensive line, and then you have a veteran head coach, Bill Belichick, one of the best. And then offensively, you have some younger pieces. You have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. The tight ends are nice, but the Patriots, I think, are still a couple pieces away from being a contending team. I think they need a number one wide receiver. A lot of the wide receivers they have as number twos. And a number two wide receiver, how I describe it as, is a number one wide receiver. Like when you're number one, like let's say like Keenan Allen on the Chargers, there's multiple ways he can beat you, whether it be route running or just going up for the ball. Number two wide receivers is more of kind of one way they can beat you. Like take Mike Williams on. I don't know if Mike Williams is the best example, but like Christian Kirk for the Cardinals is a number two wide receiver. He's very good at route running. He's not going to go up and get a jump ball. He's not too fast, but he's a good route runner. Number two wide receivers are really usually great at one thing and good at everything else. And that's what the Patriots have. Jacoby Myers has some nice route running. Nelson Aguilar has great deep threat ability. Kendrick Bourne has nice deep speed, and they've all made good plays, especially Jacoby Myers. He looked good against the Buccaneers, but they don't have a true number one wide receiver. In my opinion, you need to have someone there who's a guy who can really mismatch against opposing team corners. And then also the running game for New England, it's not bad, but it's not great either. Damian Harris is nice, but at times the Patriots offense has seemed extremely one-dimensional this season. So New England is very much a reloading team. They have some great players on the defense, but they are missing a couple pieces on the offensive side. And Stephon Gilmore is 31 years old. I think that's a fact that's going very underlooked in this whole scenario. He's up there in age. He had a couple years with the Bills. Then he got traded to the Patriots in like 2017, had some fantastic years there, helped them win the Super Bowl, and now is on to Carolina. So I think the idea of it, New England moving on from someone who's up there in age, kind of going into this reloading, saying, hey, here's a veteran player, let's move on from him, I think is a good idea in concept. However, I think the execution of it is very poor. I don't know if it was weird because the NFL posted things like he was cut, then he was traded. But anyways, the Panthers are basically sending a sixth round pick to New England. And there's only 7 rounds of the draft. So they're getting a really late draft pick. And I just think you could have gotten more from Stephon Gilmore. I get it that New England leverage wise, they didn't have a ton of it. But Bill Belichick has been one of the top minds in football for about 20, 30 years now. And I just feel like that I was expecting kind of a big trade from Belichick. Like Gilmore, I think something realistic would be probably a first round pick this year and then maybe a third round pick next year's draft. I think that's fair. Even though he's 31, he won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, as I mentioned, and he still has some great ability with him, even though he is slowing down. And usually when Bill Belichick and the Patriots make a trade, it's usually, oh, they get a lot, and then that player kind of flames out, and it's usually like, man, the Patriots know what they're doing. Here, I like the idea is good, but the execution, I think you could have gotten more from it. So it's just kind of a very interesting scenario for a team like the Patriots to make a trade that doesn't really benefit them a whole ton. But the Panthers, this is an excellent trade. I love this trade for the Panthers for really about three main reasons. Number one, it shows confidence in their team and their quarterback. Number two, it helps their defense. And number three, I think it's just a great move to make them contenders. On this podcast, I make jokes about the Atlanta Falcons defense and the Seattle Seahawks defense being terrible. And I do it to be funny, but part of me is kind of serious in a sense because if you look at the Atlanta Falcons, and let's just focus on them here, they have Matt Ryan, who since being drafted in 2008 has been a top 10 quarterback probably about every year. And yet the Falcons have really not built around him well. He's had some great offensive weapons, awesome, but the defense has been nowhere to be seen, right? And it kind of shows for me a lack of incompetence from the Falcons. I really don't like it when teams stay stale. The Falcons have pretty much been the same team minus the 2016 Super Bowl run, the same team for about the past 10 years to score a lot of points, but also allow a lot of points. They've never picked really in the top five, but they're never a team that's picking at the top end of the draft. They're usually like a 7-8 win team because they never have gone out there and made a big move on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. That's really changed the game. And you see that around the league with other teams. Matthew Stafford, when he was with the Lions, Russell Wilson with Seattle, they've never really helped him offensive line wise. Andrew Luck for the Colts, he's now retired, but several years he just needed help. Right. I think there's a lot of times where teams just don't help their franchise quarterback. It shows that they don't have trust in them, even though they might, and they probably do because those are great players. It doesn't show like that on the field. And I think the Panthers making this move shows them that they are very serious about Sam Darnold. He's looked very good so far this season. We've talked about him a good amount on this show, but for I think a good reason, he's been super impressive. And I like by trading or getting Stephon Gilmore, it's like, yeah, we believe in this team. And that's got to boost the locker room morale up to like infinity, right? To quote Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. It must do that because when you get someone like Stephon Gilmore, it shows like, yeah, we believe in ourselves. And I think it also shows the rest of the NFL. A lot of people, including me, with the Panthers, I'm like, I think they could maybe win 9 games or so, maybe a wild card team, but now they're looking like they could be a potential Super Bowl contender, possibly. And that's what I like about this Gilmore trade is that a lot of the top tier teams in the NFL have great quarterbacks. Chiefs with Mahomes, Buccaneers with Brady, Cardinals with Murray, Rams with Stafford. Having an improved secondary means it's going to be harder for those elite quarterbacks to be elite. And I really like that move of getting Stephon Gilmore. And it brings me to my third point, which is going to be the 3 levels of defense. I believe that in order to be successful defense, you must have 3 levels of defense. Number one, you need your defense line to get pressure on the quarterback and not allow big runs. That's a job as a defensive line. If they do that, then they're a great defensive line. Linebackers, do your job. Do your job. Don't allow any open coverage over the middle. Don't allow any big plays. And number 3, the secondary is don't allow deep touchdowns over the top. I think if you do that as a defense, you'll be great. And the Panthers have been there mostly this season. They've gone pressure on opposing teams' quarterbacks and stopped the run, minus the Cowboys game. Cowboys ran all over them. But for the most part, the linebackers have done great, especially Shaq Thompson. He's been playing very well. And then you look at the secondary, they have been great, but Stephon Gilmore just is someone who doesn't want anything deep. So I think he really completes this 3 tiers of defense for the Carolina Panthers. And I think that the Panthers are a team that is looking pretty nice. They do have the Patriots later on their schedule. I believe it's week 9. I'm actually going to pull up the schedule here real quick and kind of see what I think the chances are, because I think Gilmore gives them a huge boost. So the Panthers, let's see. So this week they have the Eagles. Oh, well, let's see. That's 3 wins. Okay, so 3 Eagles. I think they win that one. Vikings, that'll be a fun one. I think with the defense, though, look at someone like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, who are deep threats on Minnesota. I think people like Gilmore can really take care of them. So that's 5. Giants, I think that's 6. Falcons, that's 7. Patriots, I'll say they lose that because I don't know, the Patriots can have an upset. Cardinals, it's funny with the Cardinals because the Panthers have always had good history against the Cardinals. So I'm going to say they beat the Cardinals. Washington, they win. Dolphins, I think that they win. The Dolphins offense, I think that Panthers can take care of them. Bye week, Falcons, I think they'll split game. Bills, they lose. Buccaneers, I think they'll split with. Saints, I think they'll split with, and Buccaneers again. So that's about 11-7, which sounds really weird to say with this new 18-game schedule. That's probably good enough for the playoffs. And I think those wins are very likely. So, yeah, I'm high on the Panthers. And I think this Gilmore trade can help them win games like the Vikings and the Cardinals, because Gilmore, he's so great. Man, he gets up and wires his faces, and he doesn't make it easy for them to get big plays. And that's especially really well said with the NFL like this, which it's really hard to play defensive back. So I love this trade for the Panthers. I'm expecting a lot of great things from them in the upcoming games. All right, so we had another piece of kind of NFL movement as the Dallas Cowboys cut middle linebacker Jaylon Smith. They cut him. They released him. They said bye-bye. And the Green Bay Packers signed him. So I really like this move for both sides. I think this is a win-win. Jaylon Smith is one of those players who on the Madden video game is great. Like I play Madden, and Jaylon Smith is like a top-tier linebacker. Unfortunately for Mr. Jaylon Smith, that's not been the case in real life. I don't think he's been bad, but he's just someone who's not been the same. And I really like this move from the Cowboys because a lot of people in the media accuse Cowboys owner Jerry Jones of being very kind of favorited towards players. And I like this move because the Cowboys, I think they've always been a team that people have always had really high expectations for them, but they haven't met them. And I think part of it was kind of just Jerry Jones held on to the coach, Jason Garrett, for way too long and kind of stuff like that. And I think releasing Jaylon Smith is showing a move that the Cowboys are serious. And I like this because the Cowboys drafted Micah Parsons in this most recent draft, who's a middle linebacker. He's been playing everywhere there, though he's even been blitzing the pass. So he's a really great player, by the way. He's really athletic. And sometimes when people say that about draft prospects, it means they're very raw. But Parsons has this ability to like really be fast, but also really be careful of his movements. And he just has been making great plays. He's really great in range. He's very aware of where he's at. He kind of reminds me of Darius Leonard, the linebacker on the Colts, who's been pretty good. So, you have him, and I like how this happened because Jaylon Smith last year was, okay. And basically what happens is that you draft Micah Parsons. Jaylon Smith mentors him through, 4 weeks. Micah Parsons playing great, and the Cowboys say bye-bye, and they cut Jaylon Smith. And I really like that move, right? Smith's able to mentor Parsons. Parsons is playing well. And now Jaylon Smith, is on another NFL team, and that's the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers are a team who's had some injury issues. Zadarius Smith, the outside linebacker, could be out for the season. The star cornerback, Jarrell Alexander, I don't know what the extent of his injury is, but in the Steelers game, he had one, so it could be severe, could not be. I don't know the details, but he's dealing with something. And this Green Bay Packers team for years and years has struggled at the middle linebacker position. So I think getting someone like Jaylon Smith, even though he might not be a superstar, at least is an upgrade for what they have. And this is a great move for the Packers. It shows the urgency of Green Bay. With Aaron Rodgers, this is probably his last season with the Packers. And I think that this is just a good move for them to have someone that captain of the defense. One thing I like about this is Jaylon Smith shows leadership qualities, and I think that's important for Packers defense dealing with some injuries. So I like this move for both sides. It's one that I think helps the Packers, and I think the Cowboys did the right thing by releasing Jaylon Smith. So really impressed with Dallas here. Um, and that's going to take us to the second segment here of this show. And by the way, I do want to mention the whole Urban Meyer thing real quick. There's stuff going around Urban Meyer, what he did this past week. And I do not want to get onto it on this show because I just don't like to talk about kind of off the field issues on the podcast. But I'll say if Urban Meyer does get fired and there's a rumor he might or might not be, then that's going to be a shocker. And that's going to be something we discuss next week. What does that mean for Jaguars' future? But I just don't like to get off the field drama. So that's kind of a big storyline going around. I just kind of would want to mention. And that's why also y'all have noticed on the podcast, we really haven't talked about the whole Deshaun Watson situation. I just think off the field stuff, if you talk about it, just I don't know. I don't want to go there at this moment in time. So I just kind of didn't want to mention the Urban Meyer thing. It's interesting. We'll see how it plays out. All righty. So, second topic is I do want to talk about who I have as the award winners. Right, we're 4 weeks through the NFL season. Who I have, and let's start off with MVPs. We're going to do MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to do Rookie of the Year, Offense and Defense League, Most Improved team that surprised me, most disappointing team. So sort of MVP. And that for me is going to be quarterback from the NFC West. That's a bird team. Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, it's Russell Wilson, not Kyler Murray. I think Russell Wilson is the MVP. And MVP is sometimes hard to decipher because sometimes it's who's the most valuable player and who's the best player. I think Russell Wilson meets both of those. So Russell Wilson's been playing fantastic. He has 9 touchdowns, zero turnovers. That is super impressive. Russell Wilson this season, he's not chucking it down 5-10 yards. He's going deep. He's launching that football. Start out week 1 against the Colts. He was dropping deep balls to Tyler Lockett, and that's happened ever since. And for me, that ability for him to go deep and not turn the ball over is super impressive. This season, Rodgers, Mahomes, deep, gunslingers like him, Josh Allen, they've turned the ball over. That's expected to happen. So the fact that Russell Wilson has had no turnovers, no interceptions is really impressive for me. I think that's a stat that shows how smart he is of a quarterback. Russell Wilson is so fun to watch, and that play he had against the 49ers where he runs, escapes the sack, and throws to the corner of the end zone is fantastic. But he's a very smart player. He's someone who you can just tell has an understanding of the flow of the NFL, when to throw the pass correctly. A lot of times he'll move in the pocket, and you can tell it's almost like his mind, his arms, and legs are acting differently, but they all act the same. He keeps his eyes downfield as his legs move in the pocket to avoid defenders. And then when someone breaks open, he's able to perfectly release the ball. And it's just super impressive. His mind is always processing plays at a highly elite level. And you see it, whenever someone breaks open or even on routine passes, the ball is always where it's supposed to be. He's someone who is one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history in terms of not turning it over. And I think that's for a great reason. So that for me is just super impressive. So yeah, number 2 is that, well, I think he's been the most valuable player on the Seahawks. We have roasted and made fun of the Seahawks defense a lot on this podcast, and they just have not been there. We talked about the 3 levels of defense earlier. Seahawks failed pretty much all 3. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They're not stopping the run. Bobby Wagner's a great linebacker, but there's other people in linebacker who are okay, and the defense is preventing a lot of big plays. I think the defensive backfield or the secondary, my bad, has some nice players like Jamal Adams. But here's the deal: when you're not getting pressure, then that puts more pressure on the secondary, right? Because if you have a great pass rush, your secondary, okay, just has to cover someone. Pressure gets there. Quarterback usually has to make not the best decision. Secondary can make a play on it. But when you are giving a quarterback all the time in the world, then wide receivers can adjust, quarterbacks can adjust. It's a lot more tough on the secondary. So with a defense, when lone level fails, really all three of them do. And the running game hasn't been that great. Chris Carson, I really like as an NFL back. He's a nice mix of power and speed. He hasn't really been too great this season. He's had a couple of nice games. In this past week, Alex Collins, that power back, had a great game against San Francisco. But this has really been Russell Wilson's show. And, he has two great wide receivers in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And they are very great. Metcalf with his speed and strength, Lockett with his ability at route runner. But I think every person in the MVP conversation has great playmakers, right? Derek Carr has Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Patrick Mahomes has that Chiefs offense. Kyle Murray has AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk. Matthew Stafford has Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. They have great supporting cast. So, that is just kind of the nature of the game. So I think, without a great running game and with a bad defense, the fact that Russell Wilson, I mean, he has just really been helping that team, to help them win. And, you saw that game against week 2 against the Tennessee Titans. It's a game that pops into mind. Russell Wilson was going off, making great play after great play. It's just unfortunate his defense let him down, and the Seahawks lost. But that's no fault to Russell Wilson. I think it just shows how valuable he is to the team. And, we have the great numbers, right? He's been playing fantastic. We have why he's valuable to the team. Now his MVP moment. And this past game against the 49ers. Going into this game, the Seahawks were 1-2. If they lose this game, they go to 1-3 in a very competitive NFC West. And they do that, that's not good. And the Seahawks is a slow start. If you actually go on YouTube and go to the NFL's official YouTube channel and watch the Russell Wilson highlights, the highlights for him don't start till like 4 minutes left in the second quarter. And that could be taken as negative, but I think it's a positive in a sense. The Seahawks offense was going nowhere. 49ers were playing great defense. It looks like San Francisco is going to win at home, and the Seahawks want to go to 1-3 on this season. But Russell Wilson stepped up late game, and he played fantastic. He had that one play that I've talked about where he's under pressure. He keeps his eyes downfield. He gets out of sack, throws the corner in his own caught. Touchdown. What a fantastic play by him. And he had that one where he throws it to DK Metcalf. Metcalf lunges over the touchdown line. Russell Wilson, stepping up in that game and winning it is an MVP moment, because I want to bring up the Seattle Seahawks schedule. If the Seahawks lose this game, right, they're 2-2 now. If they go to 1-3, this makes things a lot tougher. So let's look at the Seattle Seahawks schedule, because there's some easy games, but there's also some ones that so they're 2-2. They have the Rams tonight. This is getting uploaded Thursday. Probably win that. The Steelers, week 6, great defense, bad offense. I think the Seahawks win. Saints, Jaguars. I think the Saints, they could lose. I think they beat the Jaguars. Bye week, Packers. I think they lose. Cardinals, I think they win. So that's 6 wins. Washington, 7. 49ers again, maybe lose. Texans, 8 wins. Rams, maybe lose. But in the Bears, Lions, 10 wins. Cardinals lose. So I have them going 10-8. Which, no, not 10-8, 10-7. Okay. 10-7, my bad. If they lose this 49ers game, that goes from 10-7 to 9-8. 10-7 and 9-8 in the NFC could be a difference between a playoff spot and not. So I think winning this 49ers game is hugely instrumental if the Seahawks do make the playoffs. So I think Russell Wilson makes all 3 categories for MVP. Offensive player of the year, I'm going to keep it straight and simple. It's Tyreek Hill, wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs for me. Tyreek Hill has been so fun to watch. And with Tyreek Hill, the main thing is he's fast. But I think with people, when they just think speed is, straight line speed, right? It's man-to-man coverage. You can just go boom, go straight vertical, catch a touchdown. Yes, he does do that. But the thing about Tyreek Hill is fast. His ability to change routes is incredibly quick. His movement on the field, the way he can shift directions, his hands, like when you watch Tyreek Hill, a football's coming, he's able to catch it and like haul it in really fast, which is super impressive. And he's also has that straight line speed. But everything Tyreek Hill does is super fast, and it's like, how do you cover him? Because if you have man coverage on Tyreek Hill, if you press him, Tyreek Hill's going to beat you with the speed. If you play off coverage, he's going to find a way to beat you in the middle. And he's someone that, also, if you're playing off man coverage, right? You're playing a defensive back 5 to 10 yards off of Tyreek Hill, or Tyreek Hill runs a little in route. So I'll just say this is the defensive back. This is Tyreek Hill. He runs a little core. He catches it. Now he has caught the ball. You try to tackle him, he's going to try to juke you out. All right, he's just so fast and showing that on the field. In my opinion, he's been the offensive player who has just been tremendous, in all honesty. I always say this. I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in terms of hands. I think Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in terms of playmaking. And that's kind of the way I go at it. And, offensive player of the year is a very difficult conversation to have. Cooper Kupp could also be in it, but I just think Tyreek Hill, he's been fantastic this season. And what he did against the Eagles, a bad secondary, just the way he dominated that, he just has so much talent, and he's showing it on the field. Defensive player of the year for me is Myles Garrett. As I mentioned before, it's really hard to play great defense consecutively in the NFL, but Myles Garrett has done that. You look at his performance, week 3 against the Chicago Bears, where he goes out there and has like 4.5 sacks on Justin Fields. Week 3, a great performance, right? That was excellent. It was. But you look at week 4 against the Vikings, and Myles Garrett did the same thing. He had a dominating performance. Week 1 against the Chiefs, he was great. Week 2 against the Texans, he was pretty good. The fact that he can do this disrupting game in and game out, like that ability to do it, I think is very undervalued, because it's really hard to play defensively talented football at a high level consistently. Like, I want to bring up Jaylon Jones, and I really like Jaylon Jones of the Cardinals, but he has, week 1, he had like 4.5 sacks against the Titans. Then week 2 against the Vikings, he was a bit more quiet. I think Jaylon Jones is a great player, and I think he should be a Pro Bowler this season. But, he has a really dominating game, then he gets a bit more quiet. Now he's gone back up to playing pretty well. Myles Garrett has a dominating game against the Bears, and then he goes up against the Vikings. I mean, that Vikings offense only scored 7 points, which is super impressive by the Browns defense. Yeah, Myles Garrett as rusher for the Cleveland Browns, defensive player of the year for me. I know people said Trayvon Diggs. He's been playing great for the Cowboys. I just think Myles Garrett has had more of an impact on the Browns, because I think getting pressure on quarterbacks is super important. But I do think Trayvon Diggs has been great. And then want to have the offensive rookie of the year. That's going to be Jamar Chase, wide receiver for the Bengals. He is someone who is so fun to watch, because he's been getting used deep, kind of these outside vertical routes. And it's so fun to watch Jamar Chase, because he'll be against a corner. And Jamar Chase has good speed. He's not like a speed, like you wouldn't say that's like his biggest skill, but he's pretty fast. So usually with him running, him and a cornerback are usually kind of even. And at the last second, Jamar Chase just gets his separation. And he has really agile hands and feet. Like the way he can use his feet to, like, when he runs, he'll be running and then he'll use the feet to like almost like kind of jump off. Like it's really cool to watch. And his hands, they're really agile. He is able to reach out for the ball and secure it, and it's just really great. So Jamar Chase, offensive rookie of the year, wide receiver for the Bengals, he's been great. And then defensive rookie of the year, for me, is going to be Micah Parsons for the Cowboys. We mentioned him earlier in today's episode, but I love the way Micah Parsons plays. He just has been everywhere for the Cowboys. And that's going to lead us into the kind of most improved player and kind of most and team and then kind of most disappointing team. The most improved team for me is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys for many years now have these high expectations, but they just have played really great in my opinion. For starters, I think you gotta give the offense some credit. Quick water break there. Pretty refreshing, and it's refreshing to see this Cowboys offense because before they're always kind of a team that was almost like a shootout offense where you would have them throw for all these yards and it was great to watch, but their defense was never to that level. So the offense would score a lot of points, but the defense would be so bad it was unbalanced. I think now with this team is they're running the ball extremely well. Ezekiel Elliott looks great. So be super happy about him looking good. Tony Pollard as well. You have a dual threat backfield. And the thing with the Cowboys offense is that they're getting chunk offensive plays in the best way possible. You watch the Cowboys Panthers game this past week. There's this one play where Dak Prescott looks for Amari Cooper deep, and he just throws a really beautiful pass downfield. Right, he has this ability to get these huge plays. Dak looks great, and this offense has, they're able to take time and score really efficiently. And I love the way they're also using Dalton Schultz at tight end. He is someone with, you have these deep threats in Dallas taking the defense deep. Dalton Schultz is open over the middle. And there's one play against the Panthers where like everyone's going deep. Schultz is over the middle. Dak throws a really nice pass, and Schultz has this ability after the run to catch it and keep going forward and more. It seems like the Cowboys are almost getting positive yards on every play. And that goes also to the running game. When you have a running game that's effective, right? When you're running the ball, defense is going to spread their defense out. Right? They're going to spread it out. They're going to, expand it, make it big. So that way, they're not in a box, right? You're going to expand it. And when you expand it, well, there's going to be more holes, right? There's going to be more holes and open stuff in the middle, which when you go to the passing attack and have people in the middle like Dalton Schultz and Amari Cooper, that's going to do a lot of damage, right? It's almost like, trying to think of an example here. It's like you almost have like a towel. Like, let's say you're cleaning up something, you have a towel, usually kind of wring out water, stretch it out. When you stretch it out, water drips out to dry it. You lose water, right? That's almost the way of thinking about this defense when a team is running the ball super well. When you spread out, there's going to be more open holes. I hope that makes sense, but I just think this Cowboys offense is super impressive. The defense has been playing great. They're athletic, they're fast, they're great with downfield coverage. I'm impressed with the Cowboys, and I think they have a legit chance of winning the Super Bowl. Most disappointing team has been the Washington football team. Mason and I have spoken about it along this podcast. I'm not going to touch on it too much here, but for me, they have just not been that great of a team. Taylor Heineke, I'm still not buying into him as a franchise quarterback. Yes, he did great against the Falcons defense. That's the Falcons defense. He's someone who plays very risky, and a lot of plays were him looking and throwing for Terry McLaurin in the end zone, who's a fantastic top tier wide receiver. Terry McLaurin can do it all. Jump ball, great route running, great deep threat. What the thing about Taylor Heineke I'm concerned about is a lot of those football passes. I mean, Terry McLaurin's fantastic, but if that's against a better defense, those are probably intercepted. So I think what Taylor Heineke did well. I don't know if it can be repeatable. He's nice. The offense has been good, but the defense has just not been great. Again, going to the three pillar of defensive structure, and they're not getting pressure. Chase Young has been very disappointing. The linebackers are struggling, and the secondary is allowing a lot of deep plays. So again, the defense is not playing that great. So Washington, very disappointing. And I thought they'll kind of get their team figured out because that's kind of who Ron Rivera is as a head coach, but it just hasn't happened. And Washington has a tough schedule. I want to pull up the schedule here. The NFC East, I mean, the Cowboys, I think the division is Dallas's. And, I thought originally Washington was going to win it, but it doesn't seem like they're going to. And I think that they match up very poorly against a lot of the upcoming opponents. They have a very brutal schedule. So they have the Saints. Okay, so they have 2 wins. I think they lose to the Saints. and then they have the Chiefs, and then they have the Packers. All three of those teams have great offenses, and with Washington's defense playing poorly, I think they'll allow a lot of points. I think they'll allow a lot of points. I don't think they have the offense to keep up with those teams. So I think Chiefs, especially, they'll lose. Packers could be close, but I think they'll lose. Same with the Saints. So Saints lost, Chiefs lost, Packers lost. Broncos, we'll see. But I mean, let's just say they win that one. Bye week, Buccaneers lose. Panthers lose. Seahawks, I mean, lose. Raiders, Cowboys, you maybe win. Eagles, you maybe win. Dallas again, you lose. Eagles, you lose. Giants, you maybe win. So that's 6 wins. It's just a very brutal schedule here. You have a lot of teams who have great offenses, and with a bad defense, teams going to have field days against that. So I want to take a quick water drink break here. That's kind of my award predictions after 4 weeks, kind of who I'll give it to. When I come back, talk about Super Bowl matchups I'd love to see, and then jump into week number 5. So Super Bowl 56. Here are some matchups I'd love to see. And I'm going to kind of say these matchups and then kind of tagline. So the first one is going to be the Carolina Panthers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The last time the Panthers won a Super Bowl, they lost to an AFC West team. And the last time the Raiders won a Super Bowl, they lost to an NFC South team. This would be a chance for both teams to get revenge. Sam Darnold and Derek Carr have surprised fans and the NFL alike by playing great football. And with both teams having great offenses, it'll be up to which defense can get the stops. Number 2, Dallas Cowboys versus the Tennessee Titans. The AFC South and the NFC East have been some of the worst divisions this year in football. It would be cool to see the winners go up against them. An efficient offense with Dak Prescott of the Cowboys versus a run-heavy offense with Derrick Henry and the Titans would be a joy to watch. The Titans' defense has been disappointing, while the Cowboys' defense has been a nice surprise. Could Dallas finally get the ring they've been waiting for? The Titans add one to the collection. Number 3, Green Bay Packers versus Kansas City Chiefs. Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes have been some of the most fantastic quarterbacks to watch over the past couple of seasons. They'll finally meet in the biggest game on the stage. Devonta Adams, Randall Cobb representing the yellow and green for Green Bay, going up against Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, repping the red and white for Kansas City, will be a joy to watch. Seeing these two quarterbacks against the seeing who could get their second ring would be great. Both of them meaning getting a second ring would be different. Rodgers getting ring number 2, showing that ultimately him and Green Bay was a great experience and leaving Green Bay on a high note, while Mahomes getting a second ring would show just how fantastic of an NFL player he truly is. Number 4, the Buffalo Bills versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When Tom Brady was in New England Navy Blue as a Patriot, he played the Buffalo Bills a lot and won. That was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Him going against a former division rival in the Super Bowl would be great. It would be cool to see if the Buccaneers could repeat back-to-back seasons while the Bills would try to win their first Super Bowl. It would be a really great game between a veteran and Brady and a young gun like Allen going back and forth. I think Bills versus Buccaneers would be a unique matchup that has a lot of great storylines. Number 5, Los Angeles Chargers versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Chargers will be at home trying to get the first Super Bowl ring, while the Cardinals wouldn't have to travel that far and are used to playing the LA Stadium. Kyle Murray and Justin Herbert are 2 young quarterbacks who are so fun to watch while also being unique. Murray's ability in the pocket to run and make throws like that on a dime and Herbert's arm cannon are both elite traits at the quarterback position. It'd be great to watch, and there'll be 2 unique teams going at it. So yeah, those are just kind of 5 Super Bowl matchups I have. That'll be fun to see. Let's go on to talk about some more of these week 5 predictions and kind of games in depth. So game I'm kind of excited about is this Packers-Bengals game. The Bengals just have gotten really no respect in the NFL. They're 3-1. 3-1. I'm going to repeat that because no one's giving them the respect. Joe Burrow has continued to play fantastic week after week, and it seems like the Bengals always have a way to win games, right? You know, looking at when they beat the Steelers, week 3 as Jamar Chase, going deep. Week 4 against a Jaguars. It was tight end CJ Uzoma. It seems like whoever's available, the Bengals can use. And I think Cincinnati's offense is the real deal. The defense has been nice, and I think that they could beat the Packers. Green Bay, I haven't seen them have a complete offense. The first couple weeks is the Devonta Adams show. And while he is one of the top tier best wide receivers in the game, you would like to see other people get involved on the field. Randall Cobb against the Steelers win last week did have 2 touchdowns, but Devonta Adams was quiet. I've not seen the Packers play a full game of offense, and I do worry that in a stadium like Cincinnati, that this Packers team could struggle. The Bengals crowd is going to be huge. They're 3-1, and they play a really big team in Green Bay. Also, I believe Aaron Rodgers has never won in Cincinnati. I don't think he's ever won there. He's beaten the Bengals at when they visit Lambeau Field, but in Cincinnati, he's never won. I think this Packers Bengals game will be very telling. I think the Bengals win the narrative that this team's for real and could win the AFC North. With a Packers loss, it would mean there's more question marks about them, and people will be questioning them like how they did week 1 against the Saints. Week 1, that huge Saints loss is a fluke for Green Bay, but can they prove themselves to be a team that can get back on track? I think if the Packers win this game, then they show that they are true Super Bowl contenders. They can be a pretty skilled team in Cincinnati, and the Cincinnati loss will show them that they still might have a couple pieces to go on the defense. Ultimately, I do think the Bengals win. Joe Mixon might not play, but I still trust the rest of these offensive playmakers to get it done for Cincinnati. Green Bay's dealing with some injuries as well, and Joe Burrow is one of the smartest quarterbacks in NFL. Not history, but this season so far. I think sometimes people forget that this Steelers Packers game was closer than it was. It's 27-17, and there's a callback touchdown the Steelers have. If they get that, it's 27-24, and maybe Pittsburgh finds a way to win. Ben Roethlisberger has been pretty poor this season, but he probably had his best outing against the Packers last week. I think that this Packers secondary is very concerning, and I think that Joe Burrow, with the smart quarterback he is, could have a successful game. He's also very great in the pocket, moving around, and could extend plays. But Aaron Rodgers can also do that. What makes me feel like that the Bengals could have a chance is that I have not seen the Packers really use the run game so far this season very well. And I think that the Bengals could scheme up a good zone scheme against the Packers wide receivers. If they double cover Devonta Adams, I think the rest of the Bengals could take care of Randall Cobb, MVS, and Allen Lazard. You have Jesse Bates roaming as a deep free safety for the Bengals. And with Rodgers' tendency to go deep a lot, Bates could have some nice crucial interceptions. Overall, I'm taking the Bengals to win 26-21. It'll be a really close game, but I think this game could be telling a lot of who these two teams truly are. Another game I do want to talk about is the Bears-Raiders. This game might look like a one-star Raiders win, but I'm going to just see how the Raiders do, right? The past couple of seasons, the Raiders have gone off to a great start, and then they just kind of fall apart. I think that this is going to be a true test, right? You have Chicago, Las Vegas. That's why I mentioned prediction video, kind of those two cities going up against each other. But I feel like that this game, can the Raiders win in a convincing fashion? Justin Fields is starting, and he's a young quarterback, meaning the Raiders are not going to have a lot of tape. One thing I do worry about the Raiders is their secondary. They struggle with physical wide receivers, and they go up against Allen Robinson, Donald Mooney, 2 wide receivers who can really box out corners. I think this could be a trap game for the Raiders. I do think ultimately Las Vegas does beat Chicago's. I think Derek Carr has a hero moment and wins with a last-second field goal. This game could be closer than most people think. I think this game is going to really determine who the Raiders are. If they get a nice big win, then yes, this is a playoff contender. If not, then there might be more question marks with them, and their defense has to step up. So that's another game I want to talk about here. I'm also excited to see this Browns-Chargers game. I think it'll be cool to see how they play. Baker Mayfield has been kind of disappointing this season. He just has been missing a lot of throws, and a team like the Chargers, who's just high-powered offense, going to really have to keep up with that. I think that this is going to really kind of almost be like a simulation playoff game for these two teams, because I think could both make it. I think the Browns win by really playing deep. I know they use Myles Garrett to get pressure, but kind of play deep and back. Don't allow Herbert to beat you deep. I think you run the ball a lot, and almost allow Mayfield to just go a lot of play action and screens, control the clock. Because Herbert, he's been playing really great. He's an MVP candidate. But one thing about him is that he is prone to making mistakes at time. And I think if you put pressure on Herbert, not only by having Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney flying in his face, but if the Browns are dominating the clock, then Herbert's not going to really have that much time to make stuff happen. So that's how the Browns win. I think the Chargers, you look for holes in the secondary. I think you put a lot of pressure on Mayfield, trying to kind of confuse him pre-snap with different coverages. So yeah, I'm excited for this Cleveland LA game. Other AFC matchups, Broncos Steelers. That's gonna be a really interesting one. I have a feeling Pittsburgh might win. I know I predicted Denver to win, but I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater's been playing. I haven't really heard something confirmed one way or another. I think it's a big game for Denver how they play because they lost to the Ravens last week, but I just feel like that was a mismatch. We'll see how they do this week. I think they can really dominate defensively and get a nice win. Then okay, they're a playoff team. If not, then they might be more of a pretender. I don't know. We'll see how they are. The Steelers, they have to get things going. I think if Big Ben plays really bad, then I think you probably do bench him. It's just like I said, I thought he had some nice plays against the Packers last week. But it's just like he has nice plays and then they just don't happen, right? The Steelers up like I think 7-0, and then it's like, oh, he doesn't do that again. You have to see the consistency. It's just not there with Big Ben. So I think if you lose this game, then there's a good chance they maybe go to Dwayne Haskins, the number two quarterback there backing up Big Ben, who I think could be nice. The Steelers are a team that likes to run the ball, kind of go over the middle, very big with yards after catch. I think Haskins could be really good in that situation. So I think that if Big Ben plays bad, and if I think it's gonna be a very close game, if he doesn't get you the win, I think then you do bench him because I do like the Steelers defense to a degree. Bills Chiefs Sunday night game is funny. This is kind of a hyped up game. I don't have that much else to say about. I just think it'll be an offensive shootout between these two teams. I do think the Chiefs will win, but it'll be a very entertaining game. Titans Jaguars. The Titans have 18 players injured, I believe. It is insane. I want to read this off real quick because it's just crazy. Prayers up to those players, but here are all the players who are injured for times or on the injury list and might play or not. You have Aaron Brewer, Jalen Brown, Tommy Hudson, Julio Jones, Brett Kern, Taylor Lawn, Racy McMath, Nick Westbrook, Danico Autry, Harry Blazingame, AJ Brown, Bud Dupree, Rashawn Evans, Sharif Finch, Chris Jackson, Ben Jones, Jeremy McNichols, Roger Saffold. So a lot of players, and I think there's a chance the Jaguars could maybe win because of offense. Your top two wide receivers, Julio Jones and AJ Brown, are injured, and then Nick Westbrook, who's made some nice plays for Tennessee, is a very nice slot wide receiver, has good hands, good speed, has a really nice ability to catch the ball and cut and like take it upfield. Well, he might, he's injured. And the offensive line, I mean, Ben Jones, Roger Saffold, I'm for sure they're starters. You have Aaron Brewer, and the linebacking core is hurt. The secondary seems fine for the most part, but Trevor Lawrence, you're going up against him with some injured linebackers and offense that might not be able to keep up. I don't know. It could be very interesting. Going to the NFC side of games, I think a lot of them for me, I think that the Rams do lose to Seattle. I'm interested to see if the Cardinals beat the 49ers. I know I kind of glossed over that game in week 5 predictions. The 49ers have had the Cardinals number, but the Cardinals seem like a different team. I'm just not been impressed with San Francisco. You have a couple of divisional games in the with the NFC East, Cowboys, Giants. I do think the Cowboys get a big win. The Giants, they look nice beating the Saints, but I don't know if that's consistent. Yes, Daniel Jones won a NFC Offense Player of the Week. Good job for him. And he does have a good ability to stay in the pocket and make great throws. It's just his ability to extend the play and do it time after time again. I think sometimes Daniel Jones needs to know the time to release the ball and when to make a big play. Sometimes he runs or takes too long in the pocket when he's not supposed to. So I just don't have faith in the Giants. I think they lose to the Cowboys. Lions Vikings will be fun. I do think Minnesota wins. Yeah, this will be a fun week of football. I also have Saints Washington. That's gonna be such a weird game. The Saints are they're consistent with how inconsistent they are, right? Beat the Patriots, lose to the Giants. And their defense, I do like. The offense, I don't know. Alvin Kamara's been good, not fantastic though. Jameis Winston, he's been nice, but they just, Michael Thomas style, it's hard for them to be just a explosive offense. Then Washington, their defense is bad, and then their offense, we already mentioned them. So I have no idea. I think it's gonna be a crazy game. I could see like a lot of picks, just safeties, just a lot of weird scoring. And yeah, those are other games I do want to talk about. Jets Falcons. Calvin Lee's not going to be making a trip to London. Prayers up to him. So I do think, with that being said, with Ridley not playing, he's going to be staying home. Hope he's okay. He's not going because of personal reasons. I think the Jets do win, so I do think that prediction becomes a bit more true. Dolphins, Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers win. The Dolphins are a team that a lot of high hopes on, but they're looking like a bottom five team. Miami's just offense is not them. The defense isn't that great. They're like a worse version of Washington. So I think those are all the games that I really wanted to talk about. You have Eagles, Panthers. I do think Carolina wins. I think Sam Darnold and crew get it back on track. Christian McCaffrey could be back as early as this week. I was like, whoa, that's cool. I think Stephon Gilmore will be making his debut. Ravens, Colts Monday night will be fun. But yeah, that'll do it. Oh yeah, Patriots, Texans. I do think Patriots blows out New England, but I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I know it's a very different episode with just me, but I hope you enjoyed it. I try my best. Next week, we will have Mason back on the show here, and we'll be back talking with football. So I hope you enjoy this episode and enjoy week 5 NFL football. I can't believe we're here. Enjoy, everyone. Take care. This is Tanner with the Man to Man Coverage Podcast. Also, one more thing here. If y'all listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, go to our YouTube channel called the Man to Man Coverage Podcast. That's what it's called. The logo will be the logo you see with the purple football and the blue background. And there we do, I upload prediction videos, and we have a new series starting Saturday called Film Study Saturday, where basically I'll be breaking down film. This coming Saturday, this is getting up on Thursday or whenever you watch this, but Saturday, there'll be a video of me breaking down Trey Lance, the rookie, had some reps against the Seahawks. I had a lot of fun making it. So yes, please check it out us out on YouTube if you have not already. Until then, everyone, take care and have a good one. Enjoy watching football, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care and bye-bye.